A Passage to India by E.M. Forster is a novel that explores the complex relationships between the British colonizers and the native Indian population in the early 20th century. Set against the backdrop of British rule in India, the novel delves into themes of identity, cultural conflict, and imperialism. The story revolves around two main characters, Dr. Aziz, a young Muslim Indian doctor, and Mr. Fielding, a British schoolmaster. The two men become friends despite the racial and cultural barriers that separate them. Aziz is accused of assaulting a young British woman, Adela Quested, during a visit to the Marabar Caves, a local tourist attraction. The accusation leads to a trial that exposes the deep divisions and prejudices that exist between the British and the Indians. One of the most prominent themes of the novel is the clash between different cultural values and worldviews. The British colonizers see themselves as superior to the native Indians and believe that it is their duty to bring Western civilization to the uncivilized Indian population. This attitude is epitomized by characters such as Mr. Turton, the local British magistrate, who sees the Indian population as little more than children in need of guidance and discipline. The Indian characters in the novel, on the other hand, resent the British presence in their country and feel that their cultural values and traditions are being threatened by colonialism. Dr. Aziz, for example, is proud of his Indian heritage and resents the patronizing attitudes of the British. He also feels alienated from his fellow Indians who he sees as too willing to adopt British ways of life. The novel also explores the theme of identity, particularly the ways in which cultural identity is shaped by power dynamics. The British in India are seen as a homogeneous group, despite their differences in background and personality, while the Indian characters are divided along lines of religion, caste, and regional identity. This is reflected in the novel's title, which suggests that India is seen as a passage through which the British pass on their way to fulfilling their imperial ambitions. The relationship between Dr. Aziz and Mr. Fielding is one of the most compelling aspects of the novel. Despite their different cultural backgrounds, the two men are able to form a genuine bond based on mutual respect and understanding. However, their friendship is tested when Aziz is accused of assaulting Adela Quested in the Marabar Caves. The incident highlights the power imbalance between the British and the Indians and exposes the deep-seated prejudices that exist on both sides. The trial that follows is a highly charged affair, with tensions running high on both sides. The British officials are eager to find Aziz guilty and secure a conviction, while the Indians see the trial as an opportunity to challenge British dominance and assert their own identity. The trial ultimately ends in a mistrial, with Adela Quested retracting her accusation and Aziz being acquitted of all charges. The novel's ending is both tragic and hopeful. Dr. Aziz, who has been deeply scarred by his experiences, leaves India to start a new life in the Middle East. Mr. Fielding, meanwhile, returns to England, where he finds himself increasingly disillusioned with the British imperial project. The novel ends on a note of ambiguity, with the reader left to wonder whether there is any hope for reconciliation between the British and the Indians. One of the most memorable aspects of the novel is Forster's use of language. The prose is rich and evocative, with vivid descriptions of the Indian landscape and the cultural differences that divide the characters. Forster is also skilled at creating complex and nuanced characters who are able to transcend the stereotypes that often plague novels about colonialism and imperialism. Overall, A Passage to India is a powerful commentary on the impact of British colonialism on India and the cultural clashes that arise when two vastly different societies collide. The novel is notable for its nuanced portrayal of both the British and Indian characters, as well as its exploration of the complex relationships between them. One of the most interesting aspects of the novel is Forster's depiction of the Marabar Caves, which serve as a metaphor for the cultural misunderstandings and miscommunications that occur throughout the story. The caves are described as dark and disorienting, with strange echoes that distort sound and make it difficult to distinguish one voice from another. This metaphorical representation of the caves serves to highlight the difficulties that arise when people from different cultures attempt to communicate with one another. The novel also addresses issues of gender and sexuality, particularly in its depiction of Adela Quested, who is shown to be a naive and somewhat sheltered young woman who is ill-equipped to navigate the complexities of life in India. Adela's accusation against Dr. Aziz is shown to be the result of a misunderstanding, rather than a deliberate act of malice, and her subsequent retraction of the accusation is a powerful commentary on the power dynamics at play in colonial India. A Passage to India has been the subject of much critical analysis and interpretation since its publication in 1924. Some critics have argued that the novel is a critique of British imperialism, while others have seen it as a commentary on the difficulties of cross-cultural communication. The novel has also been praised for its insights into the human condition and its ability to transcend the cultural and historical context in which it was written. In conclusion, A Passage to India is a complex and multi-layered novel that explores themes of cultural clash, identity, power dynamics, and communication. The novel is notable for its nuanced portrayal of both the British and Indian characters, as well as its exploration of the complexities and challenges of cross-cultural communication. Forster's rich and evocative prose, combined with his insights into the human condition, make A Passage to India a classic work of literature that remains relevant and thought-provoking to this day.
We hope you are enjoying the content on the Library channel. Our team is dedicated to bringing you the best book summary, recommendations, and literary discussions on YouTube. If you are finding our content helpful, we would greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts or suggestions, and subscribe to our channel. This will help us grow and continue to provide you with more great content in the future. Thank you for your support and happy reading.